Good afternoon, everyone. Today we'll be discussing a fundamental aspect of project management called task-precedent relationship. Understanding these relationships is crucial for effective project planning and execution. Task-precedent relationships are the logical connections between project tasks that dictate the order in which they should be performed. These relationships are often depicted using project management methodologies like the critical path method or the precedence diagram method. So what are the relationships? Well, there's four relationships that I will describe for you. The first one is start to finish. This is when the successor task cannot start until the predecessor task has finished. Consider a construction project where Task A is laying a foundation and Task B is establishing the walls or erecting the walls. Task B cannot be started until Task A, the foundation, has finished being laid and cured. Then there is start to start. This is when the successor task cannot start until the predecessor task is started. In a software development project, if Task A is coding the back end and Task B is coding the front end, Task B cannot start coding the front end until Task A has started coding the back end. Finish to finish, the successor task cannot finish until the predecessor task has finished. In a marketing campaign, Task A is creating an advertisement copy, and Task B is designing the graphics. Task B cannot be finished designing the graphics until Task A has finished creating an advertisement copy. And then the final one is start to finish. This is when the successor task cannot finish until the predecessor task has started. In a research project, Task A is conducting interviews and Task B is analyzing the data. Task B cannot finish analyzing the data until Task A has started conducting interviews. And I hope that made sense. So why is this task important? Well, first, it helps us with sequencing. Task precedence relationships determine the order in which tasks should be performed. This ensures that tasks are completed in the correct sequence to avoid confusion and potential work. It also helps us identify the critical path. Task precedent relationship help identify the critical tasks of the project. The critical path is the longest sequence of tasks that determines the shortest possible duration for the project. By understanding task dependencies, project managers can identify which tasks are crucial and focus resources on them to avoid delays. That brings us to, of course, resource allocation. Task precedent relationship help in allocating resources effectively. By knowing which tasks depend on the others, project managers can schedule resources to work on tasks in correct sequence, preventing resource conflicts and optimizing resource utilization. It also helps us on project duration estimations. Task precedence relationships are used to estimate duration of a project. By understanding the sequence of tasks and the dependencies, project managers can calculate the overall duration of a project more accurately. One of the biggest things that this does is it helps us identify risk. Task precedence relationships help in identifying and managing risks. By understanding the dependencies between tasks, project managers can identify potential risks and develop mitigating strategies to minimize their impact on the project timeline. Then, of course, it helps with scheduling and progress tracking. Task precedent relationships are essential for creating project schedules and tracking progress. They help project managers create realistic schedules and monitor progress against plan, making adjustments as needed to keep the project on task. Task precedence relationships are crucial to effective project planning, resource allocation, risk management, and progress tracking. They provide clear framework for organizing and executing project tasks, ultimately leading to successful completion of the project. So how do we manage these? Well, managing task precedence relationship involves several key steps to ensure the tasks are completed in the correct sequence and the project stays on track. Here's how to manage task precedence in relationships effectively. First, you start by monitoring task progress and dependencies. Regular monitor progress of tasks and their dependencies, ensure that tasks are being completed on time and that any delays are addressed. We can adjust task sequences. The project progresses. You may need to adjust task sequences based on changing priorities, resource availability, and other factors. Be prepared to resequence tasks to keep the project on schedule. You need to communicate any changes. You keep the project team informed of any changes to task sequence on dependencies. Ensure the team members are aware of how their tasks are affected and what adjustments need to be made. Another way to managing it is to use project manager software. Utilizing management software to help manage task precedent relationships. These tools can help you visualize task dependencies, track progress, and make adjustments. Then you need to resolve dependencies and constraints. Address any dependencies or constraints that may be causing delays in task completion. Work with project teams to resolve these issues and keep the project on track. Review and update your project schedule. Regularly review and update the project schedule to reflect any changes in task sequence and dependencies. Ensure that the schedule remains accurate and tasks are being completed in the correct sequence. And then anticipate and mitigate the risks. Identify potential risks associated with task dependencies and develop mitigating strategies to address them. Be proactive in addressing potential issues to minimize their impact on the project. Effectively managing task precedent relationship will ensure that tasks are completed in the correct sequence to keep the project on track. Understanding and managing task precedence relationships is essential for every product success. They ensure tasks are completed effectively, critical paths are identified, and resources are utilized effectively.